Because if I can show the failure to place these markings contributed to my client's car leaving the roadway and going into the rut, I've met my burden. Remember, I'm the plaintiff's attorney. I determine how much to spend on a case, and I'll spend whatever it takes. And one final thing, I make sure I have my ducks in a row, my investigation done, and everything in place before I ever serve a summons and complaint. So by the time that you get those pleadings, I'm ready. Once I return from the accident scene, I almost always commit myself to taking the case. That means the filing of a summons and complaint and the initiation of litigation. Now, there are two things that I see defendants do that cripples their case. Number one, they send people to depositions that are unprepared. They know nothing about the contract that they were supposed to fulfill. If you're going to send an employee to a deposition, make sure your defense counsel tells them their role in the case. Make sure they're familiar with the documents that I'm going to show them. The second mistake that I see is when a defendant sends somebody to a deposition who doesn't take it seriously. Remember, someone has died or has been severely injured. If that person is not serious at a deposition, I will expose that. Now, you remember I said that as a plaintiff's attorney, I'm not limited by my funding? Well, I've gone out to the scene. I see how that accident has occurred, and I will actually take the exhibits of your defense expert and use them against you. Do you remember that overlay that the defense expert did showing the car once the wheels had gone into the rut? Well, I take that and I'll make my own exhibit. What I've done is I've hired the services of an animator. He's taken the testimony of the witnesses as well as the scientific drawings of the engineer hired by the defense. You'll see the shadows of the car. And my animator will take a car and run it along the parameters of the defense expert showing how the accident occurred. Once I have shown that my science is correct, I will then go and show what my client saw at the time of an accident. In this particular case, the witness indicates that my client was driving in a right-hand lane. That lane ended, and as my client was attempting to move from right to left, her wheels left the pavement and entered a drop-off. My client then oversteered, which is a natural reaction, and made contact with the witness's car. Now listen, remember what I said? The law is what I can get 12 people to agree with. I'm a storyteller, and nothing tells a story better than a visual. You've seen what I produced. Well, let me show you what that defense expert produced at trial. He merely took his drawing and placed an arrow as to where he thought the vehicle was coming from. When you have two exhibits like this competing, which exhibit do you think is going to carry the most weight with the jury? So as I conclude, there are two things that I want you to take away from my talk. Number one, don't allow me to characterize this case as one where you're putting profit over people. Because if you do, I'm going to hold up a picture like this in closing statement to the jury. And they're going to see the woman that's dead, and they're going to see my client sitting next to me. The second thing that I want you to remember, hire your own attorney. The attorney that the insurance company is going to provide for you represents the insurance company. Your private counsel can ensure that cases that need to be settled are settled at the appropriate time, relieving you of any excess liability. I hope I've helped you, and in helping you, what we're going to do is ensure that your employees remain safe and the public at large remains safe.